Today is August 14th, 2009. My name is Joe Todd, and this is an interview with Sadie Bozeman in Norman, Oklahoma for the Eisenhower Library. Ma'am, where were you born?
In Burma.
Burma. When's your birthday?
September the 23rd, 1924.
Who was your father?
Oh, my mind gets mixed up when somebody asks me a question. You know, Herbert George Porter.
And your mother?
I don't know my mother. I don't even know her. But my stepmother was a Japanese lady, Yamaguchi Iro.
What was her name?
Iro. Yamaguchi Iro.
How do you spell the first name?
It goes backwards.
Okay.
I'll tell you the first name. Iro, I-R-O. And the next surname is Yamaguchi, Y-A-M-A-G-U-C-H-I.
Okay. Now, your father was in the British Army.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. And do you remember your birth mother at all?
No, I don't. I asked my father sometimes. He got mad as heck every time I asked him.
And where did your father meet your stepmother?
In Burma.
In Burma.
Yeah.
Okay. And when he retired, you moved to Japan.
Yes.
To
That's right.
what town in Japan?
Well, my stepmother took me there really.
Okay.
And I grew up in Japan. And my father went to Shanghai, tried getting a job.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a job with a British tobacco company.
Well, just start with going to Japan and tell me your story.
You mean right from the beginning?
From the beginning.
Where I grew up and everything?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I grew up in Japan just like any other kid there. And when I was about 3 or 4, my father came to Japan, and I ran to my stepmother and said in Japanese, there's a foreigner, hairy foreigner out there. And she said, hush, that's your father. And I wouldn't get near him. I was scared of him, really. I don't remember him from 2 years old. But he went back to Shanghai afterwards, and my stepmother got ready to go, and I asked her then, are we going somewhere? She said, I'm going to Shanghai. I said, where is Shanghai? Well, that's a place in China. So, okay.
Oh.
Went along, got ready to go Shanghai too. And it was a enjoyable thing. She kept seeing, I kept looking at the water as we're going along, and the water is really muddy, you know. And I said, why are the waters like that? And she said, well, the people are growing things, that's why. And sure enough, the sampan came along with a bunch of people on there, and we waved, and they waved back. And that was that. It was an overnight trip. And when we went there, my mother pointed, said, there's your father. Say hi to him. And I went away, waved my hand, but I didn't say hi. And there was rickshaws that put us on. And we went along that way to by a place called Home, and that was an apartment near the Suchow Creek. It's a very dirty creek, really. And we lived there for a few years, and I went to school, and as I could remember, I didn't like the school, but we got along all right for a while. And I must have been about 6 years old. I went to another school, Thomas Hanbury School. It was a private school. And I got into trouble. I played with girls who were high schoolers. Never played with my own for my, oh, I'm sorry, my language is awful, and once in a while I have to stop and think. And the trouble was that when I went back to my room, my teacher said, "You've been a bad girl, you've been calling me names." I said, I haven't done that. I was playing with the high schoolers. She said, "No, you weren't. You were playing with your own, and so heard you say bad things about me." No, I didn't. And she sent me out of the room, and I went to another room where my friend that I had played with was, and I started crying. I haven't said anything about my sister, my teacher. Why is she accusing me that way? Well, it turned out to be another person there that was kind of jealous of me being with older girls, and she kept saying that I had said some bad things about my teacher. So my teacher sent me to the office, and I was punished there by having to put soap in my mouth. Lifebuoy soap. And I was so mad, and I went home. I told my father about it, and he was mad. He told the teacher, he went to see the teacher and said, "You did bad things to my daughter. You don't belong in school as a teacher." And he went to the headmaster and told him about it, and evidently they didn't like what he did, and the teacher was fired. It's funny that things like that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was pulled out of the school and went to a convent that was right across the street from us. And I was put in as a boarder. And I was next door. I could see my mother dressing and undressing, and wave to her at night, saying goodbye, good night, and all that, but I never went home. So on a weekend, my stepmother came to see me, and she said, "Why do you always wave and watch me in the changing that?" I said, "Well, it's just that I want to be home, that's why." And turned out that there had been a threat to my father because he was I've got to stop and think, I'm sorry. He was the paymaster for the firm he worked with, and they had said that they were going to rob him when he went to the bank, because Shanghai was a pretty dangerous place, and they had what you call an iron box or something, or like the ones that you see here with the money in them.
Like a safe.
Yeah, a safe box, and he ran that every um, payday, and they said that they were going to rob him. So that's why my daughter, being his daughter, I was put in a safe place, which was a next door safe Catholic school. And after that, I found that I was sent to Nagasaki.
To where?
Nagasaki.
Nagasaki.
Yeah.
Why'd you go there?
Because of my health, I think, mainly, but my stepmother probably sent me there to keep me out of trouble. I guess she figured we went to Catholic school, they'd be making me better about not being so mean or something. Anyway, the sisters had come to get me at the boat, and you put in a taxi and driven to the school. It was a long and winding school.
What was the name of the school?
Oh, I believe it was Catholic. I can't even remember the name of the high school. Just that it was Catholic.
A Catholic school in Nagasaki.
Yeah, the only one in Nagasaki, really. So I was put there with two other girls who were staying there, and we got on fairly well with my kind of silly things we did, like climbing the wall of the school and trying to run around on the wall, and let's say Nagasaki is a hilly place, and the school is several levels of, from the other places, and me doing that kind of upset some of the teachers.
Who were your teachers Japanese or?
No, the foreign sisters, okay. Either from France or America or Canada. I had one teacher, his name was Teresa, and she was the nicest person ever. She was my teacher, my history teacher, and then the music teacher, and also the sewing teacher. She took turns, and I took piano lessons from her, and I really liked to play the piano then.
Were the students Japanese or were they Western?
There were some Japanese, lots of Japanese people that they were not in the same school, but they're kept different. The Japanese schools were mostly orphans who stayed in the school and were taught there. But me, I was in with others. There was a Swiss girl and a couple of sisters who are from Shanghai, and there was another British girl and another named Mary. She was Japanese in English. We played all kinds of things. Had fun. I stayed there until about from 7 to 9, about 9, 3 years, and then I went back to Shanghai, enrolled a girl in another school there too. But happened that my father was ill, I guess. He had what they call grand mal seizures. He had grand mal seizures, and occasionally it would be petit mal.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to, the people, he had to stop work because he kept messing up messing the school things up at the office, I mean. And then we moved to Japan. I was 11 years old when we moved. So we lived in a part of Japan on a hillside house. And we lived there until, let's see, until about 35, so 37, about 1937, we moved to a country place. And
Was this outside of Nagasaki?
no, it was in Nagasaki Prefecture,
Okay.
but it was named different, Isahaya. And I guess he went to Isahaya because there were two other foreigners who had been married to Japanese and had also been in Burma, and as such they knew each other pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So we went there and we lived there for quite a while, and then my father died. I think then it was pretty near the time the war had started. That's right. The war started, and then they visited our house, Japanese, what they call them, I've forgotten most of my Japanese, and when the war started, the Kempei Tai, that's, I guess, military police, that's what
Mm-hmm.
they were, and the military police came and visited our place, and they were not interested in my father because he was ill anyway. They were interested in me. It turned out that I left home many times to get away from my father and ended up in the British consulate, so they figured I knew something. I said, I don't know anything. All I know is that I know that it's a safe place I can go because my father beats me and tries to kill me sometimes. So I go there to get to a safe place. And as it was, the British consulate had heard from a lady who was a widow of a very wealthy store, and the owner died, and she was a widow all of a sudden, and she was from Australia, and she had no children. She wanted to adopt a child and go to Australia with her. And my father said no. He thought it was a bad thing, giving a child away, I mean. So he said, no, you can't go. So one of the girls at school who was it was friend Joan, but she was her father had died, and he had married a Japanese girl before he passed away, and then she was alone, and the stepmother wanted her to go to school properly and knew that she couldn't if there was the war and all that. So she sent her away, I should say. And was how the war. And I should let you read my book anyway, then you would know what happened. I can't repeat all of it.
Yeah.
It's so much in my mind, you know. That I have a book of mine that it belongs to me, of course. So I'll let you read it if you wish.
Yeah.
No, that's about it.
Now tell me about, did you work on the home front for the Japanese military?
Not for the military. I had to work, so at the Kempis I had nothing to do it. My stepmother, being Japanese, I was allowed to live there, but I had to work. There was no money because what's the people who handle the money? Um, it would be here the secretary of
Of finance? Or,
yeah,
yeah.
and money, we couldn't get any money out of there, so I worked, and because of that my mother would have money to spend sometimes. I worked different things. I worked mostly, first job I had was at a Japanese temple, and there was this run by a very sweet lady and a husband. The husband, of course, had nothing to do with my being hired by her, but she had two boys. One was 2 years old, the other was about 4, and I took care of them and a baby, another one of them, a little girl, and she was just a baby then. But
Where was the temple located?
I called the place named, I know.
I know.
Uh-huh.
How is that near Nagasaki?
Yes. By train, a couple of hours away. And I worked there for a while, about a year or so, and then moved on to another one that was needed. I helped farmers plant rice crops and things like that. And I worked for another firm called I think it's Sissel or something, that is used to make rope after being put in a machine that, separated the parts and everything. But I worked there for a while, and then I forgot where I was. Sake place, family that made sake, and the people who made sake were men, and they were separated from us, and I had to sleep in a place that the people who made the sake had a sleeping place for me.
Tell me about the bomb on Nagasaki.
Oh, and I was in Shimabara then, working for a factory that made barrels, made barrels, where you work the wood and everything and put them together and make barrels out of them. That's where it was. And one day when we were off in the morning, we were out just looking, and suddenly the siren went off, and we were supposed to go inside, but we didn't. We kept looking around, and we saw an airplane, and I said, "Look, there's a plane," and something was dropped out of a plane and had a parachute, and I thought it was a man, maybe had, one of them was piloting the plane and something had happened, so he fell out of it. But evidently not, because we kept looking and looking, and there were no other planes that we could see. But across over the mountains, we saw light, and some place was burning. And then we heard from on the radio that Nagasaki had been bombed, and it was so red and terrible. The flames, I guess, were up so high that it just got bad that way. And that's it.
What's the Ginsu Bakudan?
Genshibakuda, that's an atomic bomb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go to Nagasaki after the bomb?
Yes, I went to Nagasaki a couple of days later, and it was pretty bad. I couldn't go. I had to walk from the station where we got off, and it was pretty, I'd say, awful. I saw dead bodies still laying around, and houses just the bottom of everything about so high. Just hadn't been burnt.
About 3 feet.
Uh-huh. Well, I would say about up to here, I guess.
Just below your waist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was terrible. So I just went home and my mother, of course, had already been there the day before, and she was trying to find her niece and nephews and sister who lived there, and she just gave up. She could not.
Mm-hmm.
But
did they bring wounded to Shimabara?
yes, they did.
Tell me
They did.
that.
A trainload of people were brought in, and they were laid down on the benches and things that the station of Shimabara had. And the people, they had called for help for all the people to go and help, so I went along with the other people. And it was terrible. The burns and such, you know.
What'd you do for those people?
Well, all we could do is to cover them up with something, and some of them, of course, didn't want to be covered up because it hurt, and there were children laying around, and we gave them water and things like that. There wasn't much I could do, really. Nobody could. And I forgot what happened to them afterwards. Probably died, two of them. Yeah.
When you heard the war was over, what'd you think?
Of course, I was glad. I mean, actually, I'd been thinking that the war was going to be forever and we were all going to be killed there. That's in my mind. And one day we saw an airplane coming down, spiraling into the lake, in the water that we lived near. Oh my! Where were we?
You were talking about you thought the war was going to go on forever and everyone was going to be killed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Yeah.
Tell me about coming to the United States.
I thought, well, I'm ready to go. And my mother had died, and I was good and happy, glad. Would you like to see my book? You can see my book.
Did you meet an American soldier?
Yes, I did.
What was his name?
I had met Dale, and funny thing, we were both had the same name, Porter, and I thought for a while maybe we had been, he was a Porter too. We were united somehow, And turned out that he wasn't really, but we decided to have a Japanese wedding with kimonos and everything, and a Japanese priest, but turned out not to be not was fa- oh, I wrote Dale had to go home, and I had to wait and get a passport so I could go, and it turned out not to be a wedding too, because I had contacted the general over there, and he said we don't approve of neck. Oh, shoot, that's
So when did you get married?
1947, about 1948.
And
But then I'd gone and called the general, and I knew him, that's why. And he said, I'm sorry, we can't send you or help you because it's not a real wedding. It's just anybody wanting to use the Japanese wedding, just, refuse to go anywhere with them.
and who did you marry?
Dale Porter.
Dale Porter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But since that, then I started work for a telephone company run by Americans, and no, that's not true. I was rode. I worked for as a shoot. I was a typist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, typist and an interpreter. That's what I was.
Where did Mr. Porter live in the United States?
He was from Nebraska, I think.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you come to Oklahoma?
57.
Why'd you come here?
Well, I was married to another guy. This time.
That Mr.
It
Bozeman?
was real, no. It's written by,
Okay.
my name is Fleming.
When you hear Nagasaki today, what do you think of?
It's a beautiful place. In fact, I almost wish I was there. It was so peaceful and quiet.
Well, ma'am, I want to thank you for your story. Very good. And again, this is August 14th, 2009. My name is Joe Todd, and this has been an interview with Sadie Bozeman in Norman, Oklahoma for the Eisenhower Library. Thank you.
You're welcome.